Maybe a little bit too much.
Hi Mandy, how are you doing today?
Good, thank you.
For most artists, they say that art chose them rather than they chose art. And I'm pretty sure it might be apparent in your art practice too. So could you share with us a little bit about how you became a full-time artist and what it has been like since?
Well, I don't know about the saying about art chooses me or I choose art. It's just that art has always been something that is very prominent throughout my childhood and until now. I've always, meddled in arts and crafts. Like I used to make handmade cards, bookmarks growing up, and then I developed that further into drawing and painting, and then I started to teach myself how to draw portraits and all kinds of things. So I think this is more like a natural journey for me in discovering. So, and it has become to this at this point.
We will get to this in a bit, but could you also share with us before that, how has it been like for you with the transition of, doing portraiture, which is something you're very well known for?
Really?
Yeah. And from that to this, but before we get to that, could you share with us about, your previous subject matter, which is, portraiture and specifically human characteristics?
Well, human portraiture and human figures has always intrigued me. I would say, like, I always have that certain affection into that topic, that subject matter. So, and I always like to, people watch, even like right now, I would like notice like, features on your face, right? And I would like to, and I like to, take that and put that in my own works. Like, so, yeah, I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. So.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting because in doing so, you notice the essence of the person,
right?
And then that gets translated very well onto a canvas. So you're also seeing the soul of the person, not just a painting of the person's face.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Speaking of essence, I'd like to delve right into your current solo exhibition here, which is Orikata Tales. Could you share with us about how the whole collection came to be and where it stemmed from? Because I know also you kickstarted this whole thing during the first lockdown in 2020.
Correct.
But could you share with us about the whole journey?
Yeah. So Orikata Tales series is basically a spin-off of towel art where instead of using towels, I use batik to sculpt and make these animals before, I turn them into paintings. Yeah.
It's very interesting because there's so many elements to just even one piece, right? I got to witness your process and also got to hear from you personally, and it's a very elaborate process, right? Because it's not just a painting, because in order to achieve a painting, you have to first sculpt the particular subject.
Yeah. So I have to do research on what animal I want to make, and I can't make a lot of animals that can't be done due to it doesn't have a distinguished shape. Like for example, tiger or a cat, they all look the same if you remove the pattern on the skin, right? So that's why I have to choose like giraffe or elephant. And I have to learn how to make them. I have to do research on them, and then I would try it on towels before I feel confident enough to use batik to make it. Once that is decided, I have to cut the batik either into a square or a rectangle. I have to stuff it with towels inside because batik itself, it doesn't have that body like towel does. and then I'll sew it up and refold until I'm satisfied, and then I'll take tons of pictures and before I decide on one that I like the most, and then I'll turn that into a painting, use that as a reference for my painting.
Though your initial process involved towel to create the animals, in your collection you did not use towels, but you used...
I did. It's inside the stuff.
It's inside, right, okay. But for this collection here, you use something else that is very dear to us Malaysians, which is the batik fabric. Could you share with us if there was a factor involved in picking that as your main star of the show, so to speak?
Yeah, well, I've always wanted to use batik in my work, but I never found a way on how to incorporate it into my own work, because batik itself, it is beautiful as it is, and I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to take that chance, to ruin it. And also because my late grandmother, she would always wear her sarongs, and so I think for me to create this series is kind of like keeping her memory alive. So it's kind of like a bittersweet in a way.
From the response that you've had, based on the visitors that have been coming to see your show, a lot of them do gravitate towards one particular piece. And it is particular for a very interesting reason, right? Because it's not only your largest piece, but also your most different one, I would say, in comparison to the rest of the works in the collection. So could you share with us about how it all came to be, and also perhaps challenge that you face in creating maybe even your biggest piece on canvas?
I've always wanted to paint a glowy night scene similar to Caravaggio's or Rembrandt's paintings. It's mysterious, intriguing, and it sort of also pushed me to push my own artistic abilities as well. Since I wanted this piece to be set at night, I actually took a trip down to Batu Ferringhi with a mutual friend of ours, Lily Aziz, last year to take sunset photos. And then after that, I would take these photos and combine it with my own studio photos of the horse and play it in Photoshop, change the lighting and add the effects to create this painting. In reality, the size was not an issue except for transportation. The most challenging part to create this painting was how to make the colors stand out, because this was painted on a black canvas and oil characteristics is kind of translucent. So I had to paint the whole piece in black and white. It's more like an underpainting. And after that, I can only layer on the colors on top, few layers, so sort of to make it pop more and more and create the depth that it needed for it to be like more 3D and create that effect.
I suppose size might not have been an issue for you because you're also a mural artist here, right? And you have painted some fairly large pieces around Georgetown. This is only the second week of your exhibition, and already you have sold 50% of your work. Half of them are going to a new home. You must be thrilled. How do you feel?
I feel really happy to see the good response the show is getting. I think partly because this is something very unique on its own, and the fact that it has that playful vibe, and then you merge it with the realism style of painting. So that is quite interesting. And also at the same time, I'm very curious to know what people think of the show when they come and to see it.
This show was scheduled to be held in 2020, and because it's been a 2-year process for you, one in particular, like this piece, got to be shown here, otherwise it wouldn't have. So based on the fact that the show is up and running already, do you somehow see this collection expanding someday?
I don't know. I mean, I still have a few other animals that didn't make into the collection. So I would like to maybe still give it a go and finish them, just so I can just, check them off my list. But after that, I'm not sure. I mean, I still miss painting portraits and figurative. So I would like to get back on that at some point as well. I don't know, maybe even somehow merging them together in some combination or something. I have no idea. Only time can tell.
Well, we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too.
Some may or may not know this, but Orikata Tales is actually your third solo exhibition as an artist. So what have you learned throughout that 3 exhibitions that you've done thus far?
With my first solo exhibition, I was just starting out. It was quite a challenge because I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any artist friends, that could guide me or help me out with, setting up a space or anything. So I was just kind of just hit the accelerator and go, because I was presented with this opportunity.
At the G Hotel?
At the G Hotel when they asked me. So hit and go and see what happens, right? And then with the second exhibition with Open Studios Penang, I was then lucky because I know more artists then. I knew Esther, and then I've met Sharon and met Lee Kai. So it was like a window of opportunity to explore even further. And then now this, and then I met you, right?
Yeah, and I met you for your your second solo exhibition.
Yes, correct.
And I liked it because it was such a punny title, right? Because it's selfish, but self-ish, and you read it as such, right?
Yes, yes.
And I thought it was a very clever play on words. And then I also loved that the focus was you. You became the primary focus of the solo exhibition, and everything within the collection was about you. So selfish became selfish, right? And I thought that was so clever. And what was amazing is you also sold many of the pieces, and I own 2 from that collection in the form of a print, but still I own them nonetheless. Maybe if you don't mind sharing about that aspect, because sometimes as artists, trying to put yourself as a focal point or the primary focus is quite daunting. How did you come up with that?
So since I'm a portrait artist and a figurative artist, so painting myself was not an issue at all. I kind of detach this imagery of oh, this is me in the painting, but in fact it's just another model for me. So that is, I guess that helped with the painting of the whole series.
Very much like an actor and the character they play, so you have removed yourself from that situation.
Correct.
Right. Interesting. It's very different, that exhibition, to this one, because there are no humans here. Animals this time. Somebody asked me this, and I think it's such an interesting question. Why animals particularly? Because towel art, or anything fabric related could be manipulated into other objects, other things. But you narrowed it down to a very specific subject matter, which are animals. Do you have any reason for that?
No, not really. I mean, when it comes to towel art, because this is actually a spin-off of towel art, and in all of towel arts, they're all animals, be it a monkey or crocodile or dolphin or anything. So they are all animal based. So I'm just using that, incorporated into this series because it works. It doesn't work with any other subject matter, or not that I know of yet. So and I like the fact that it's playful at the same time, and during the pandemic, during the lockdown, everything was just gloom and sad, and this was a nice balance to for me to like to help keep the positivity, you know, and not get sucked into the this bad news of
Also it gave you a sense of like routine, right?
Yes, correct.
You had a schedule.
Yeah, which is important.
Yep.
Or else, you know, every day you just be sitting in front of the TV and watching Netflix and doing nothing else.
Which is fun too, but you know, this
Yes,
is slightly
I had
more...
my days of that. Yeah.
So I'm personally very curious if you had an idea for an animal that you wanted to see being translated onto a canvas, but you couldn't manipulate said animal using the fabric. Were there any?
I mean, I wanted to attempt a monkey, but it just doesn't look nice.
Okay.
But I wanted to paint snail, a goldfish, and dragonfly. So these 3 animals this was in my list, and it still is in my list, but which I will explore further on.
Well, I suppose this is your next continuation, right? It's something to continue when you go back to
maybe
Croatia.
yes, that's for sure.
Which is great, you know. Me and Penangites and other Malaysians will get to look forward to more from this collection soon, hopefully.
Hopefully.